United now. Napoli are pushing for the loan signing of Rasmus Højlund, according to Sky in Italy. That's after AC Milan could not convince Højlund to join them under the terms of the deal on offer. Milan wanted a loan with an option, while Højlund and United's preference was a permanent deal. European football expert Andy Brassel is convinced a loan would be best for all parties.
It's a good profile of league to reinflate a player's value. And that is exactly the spot that Højlund's in at the moment. If you look at the players who've come out of difficult times, not just English players who've come out of difficult times in the Premier League to do really well there. Look at Scott McTominay's image now. You know, he's on the Ballon d'Or list. And go before that, you go Lukaku, Smalling, Young. You can go through them all, and they've reignited their careers there. Now, look, I think Højlund and United, if that is really their view, that they want a permanent deal, well, you know, I'd love a Lamborghini, but it's not going to happen. The fact is that his value has dropped so much over the last 2 years. The best thing for him and for United is to loan him out and get him to a point where he's sellable. At the moment, he is not sellable for anything near what they paid for him. Even if you're taking off the bits for amortisation, it's just not worth their while. I don't see how they can get a reasonable deal for him.
So Andy Brassel thinks a loan is suited to all parties, but why, Carve, do Manchester United not want to do a loan here?
Well, because they spent £72 million on him 2 years ago. And on paper, it makes sense to send a player out on loan, because the thinking is you get him off your wage bill, he goes out on loan, he does well. If he does well, that puts him in the shop window, that increases his value, and then next summer you can sell him. But it doesn't always turn out like that, because the flip side of that is these players on big wages, I'm not saying that he necessarily is on big wages, but we've seen other players who just get on the sort of loan merry-go-round, where every transfer window they're going out on loan somewhere and the club who's taking them is paying a proportion of their wages, but in actual fact the club who own them can't actually sell them. For instance, the situation with Antony, he played really well at Real Betis, but he's still a Manchester United player. Jadon Sancho did pretty well at Chelsea. No one's really come in for him on a massive permanent deal. It's just more loans the whole time. So I can see from United's perspective why in an ideal world they would want a permanent deal, but some of these clubs, especially like Italian clubs, are much more interested in trying to do a good deal and get a loan plus an option and, you know, try their luck in the transfer market.
Yeah, Jeff, surely like Manchester United don't want to be in a position where you've got especially those three players, Højlund, Sancho and Antony, that aren't going to be playing football. They're just going to be left there on huge wages. So surely they've got to make a decision sooner rather than later. And if they may have to just compromise and send them out on loan if clubs are offering that. Yeah,
if it's not the right time to sell, I think loan is definitely the right option, and it gets the players out maybe for a year. Like you said, having them coming into the training ground or coming in at different times, maybe to when the squad is there, it's just messy. And for me, I think just let them go out and play football. They might have a good year, and it might be a better option to sell them next year.
Jadon Sancho's played his best football abroad, there's no doubt about that, and it feels like that's the most likely place for him to go, but feels like he's just holding out for a club that's going to pay his really high wages.
I think, you know, the move has to be right for Jadon Sancho. A couple of clubs have come in for him. He hasn't felt like it's the right move at this stage of his career. There's talk that he may want to go back to Borussia Dortmund and they might try and make a move for him. Fenerbahce were interested in him. The one that's really intriguing for me is Roma. I mean, Roma want to take him. Why wouldn't you want to go and live and work and play in that stadium and for those fans? But something will happen certainly with Jadon Sancho over the next few days. I think clubs who are interested will kind of be playing poker, because they know the closer it gets to deadline day, the better deal potentially they can get out of Manchester United.
Yeah, and talking of, I suppose, outgoings and incomings at Manchester United, they have recruited well, Jeff, but do you think they still need a perhaps goalkeeper and a midfielder maybe?
Yeah, exactly, the two positions I was going to say. Yeah, I think midfield, visually on the eye watching the game the weekend just gone, I think they need legs in that midfield, just the help out, and then, like we seen with the goal, wouldn't be too convinced with the goalkeeper. Maybe you want someone coming in who's a bit commanding and it sort of gives the the defence, that confidence behind them. So they're definitely the two positions, I think, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gianluigi Donnarumma, we do know, is a goalkeeper that is on the market. So could he be on his way to Manchester? But might it be City and not United? We will find out as the transfer window carries on.
I always told you since July, my feeling is Garnacho will go to Chelsea. This will be a here we go. And I maintain my position because maybe in the media this deal is not having regular updates, but I can guarantee to you that in the background, behind the scenes, this deal is advancing. Man United and Chelsea are talking. Man United and Chelsea have very good relationship. The CEO of Manchester United, Omar Berrada, has a very good relationship with the hierarchy of Chelsea. So conversations are underway on the transfer fee. There is a gap, but they are talking. Today, I can tell you that in the last 48 hours, Bayern, while they didn't find an agreement with Chelsea, at least at the moment, for Christopher Nkunku, they called Alejandro Garnacho's camp to understand the situation of Garnacho. The answer from Garnacho was, thanks, fantastic club, but I only want to go to Chelsea. For Garnacho, it's very clear. I keep telling you that for weeks. Garnacho will not go to any other club. At least today, this is his position. Chelsea or stay in Man United, even if he's out of the squad, for him is okay. Stay there, train, and see what happens. But for him is Man United or Chelsea. And Man United, we know the relationship is completely broken. So it's basically Chelsea or nothing. This remains the case for Garnacho. The negotiation is ongoing, is underway, and so we will follow that situation. For
Donnarumma to Man United, Ruben Amorim's most important signing. Man United have been linked with the signing of Gianluigi Donnarumma. Gianluigi Donnarumma's time at PSG is coming to an end, and his destination could well be in the Premier League with Man United. The Red Devils have already spent over €200 million this summer securing Mateus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo and Benjamin Sesko. But Donnarumma would top them all for importance. Those three forwards are all talented, but Sesko is a young prospect while Cunha and Mbeumo have only gained domestic prominence in England rather than sort of international acclaim. Donnarumma, however, is one of the world's very biggest names in goalkeeping, both literally. He stands 6 feet 5 inches and his broad shoulders make him seem much bigger than that, and figuratively, with a 10-character surname and world-class reputation, having been a key part of Italy's triumph at Euro 2020 as well as PSG finally lifting the Champions League last year. Man United really need Donnarumma. For all the talk of Man United spending €100 million or more on Carlos Baleba, the opening Premier League fixture against Arsenal showed that they can muddle through this season with Casemiro in midfield. The Brazilian was resplendent, dominating Arsenal's Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice with a powerful display. He tired after an hour, sure, so United do need to think of a solution for that last 30 minutes of matches, but given they are mostly playing just once a week this season, Casemiro's last at the club, they need a midfielder. Goalkeeper, however? Well, just look at the Arsenal game again. Man United were the better side, created more chances and better quality chances. Arsenal never really got that many open looks at the United goal while the Red Devils had several and could have scored at least once. Arsenal won 1-0 though, because when they sent a corner into a dangerous area, Altay Bayindir failed to establish his presence and got bullied by William Saliba. Instead of punching clear, Altay merely palmed the ball into the path of Riccardo Calafiori, who simply nodded the ball into the back of the net. Could a foul have been given? Maybe. But when you look second half as United fizzed in an almost identical corner, David Raya in the Arsenal net established his space and then commandingly punched the ball clear. He wasn't bullied like Altay was. One game played, one goalkeeping error already leading to defeat. Andre Onana, a legendary disaster. And this after last season where Andre Onana did the same thing. Well, close enough, in the Europa League final against Spurs. Admittedly, United didn't really play well in that game, unlike against Arsenal, but they were less bad than Spurs. However, they lost the game because Andre Onana jumped in slow motion over Brennan Johnson's. Well, you couldn't really call it a shot, but he did touch the ball last. It should have been an easy grab, but Onana reacted like he was lag spiking on FIFA and did nothing before jumping around the ball when it was too late. That was the cap to a season where Onana debased himself on a near-weekly basis. He had about as much presence as a soggy biscuit, and his propensity to let the tamest or most savable of shots crippled United's ability to do anything, really. Man United conceded just 411 shots last season and 145 shots on target, both the fifth best totals in the Premier League. They conceded 52 goals, however, which is the 11th most in the league. That disparity is absurd. You can't play good football, whatever the style, if you can't trust your goalkeeper. It makes every defensive phase so much more frantic as players scramble to stop shots from even occurring as they have no faith their goalkeeper can handle them. Ruben Amorim's most important signing. So signing Gianluigi Donnarumma, one of the most mountainous goalkeepers around with an immense reputation and presence, would be transformative for Man United. Hell, you could have kept the entire team the exact same as 2024-25, and with just Ruben Amorim having more coaching time and Donnarumma replacing Onana, United would have been significantly better. Couple him with the new forwards. United might actually be good this season. Should Man United sign Donnarumma, there would no doubt be much consternation over his wages, said to be around an eye-watering €200,000 a week. But at some point, you get what you pay for. And if you want a world-class goalkeeper, you need to pay for one. Of course, Donnarumma isn't excellent with his feet, PSG's official reason for replacing him with Lucas Chevalier. But Ruben Amorim doesn't need his goalkeeper to be Manuel Neuer or Ederson with the ball. He needs solid shot-stopping and presence. Donnarumma provides that at a high level. He also comes with a tremendous experience of winning things and carries with him a physical stature that would inspire confidence throughout the Man United defense. Ruben Amorim clearly has good ideas but lacks players who can execute them. In time, this should be solved by coaching and the new arrivals in attack who can actually score goals, allegedly. Anyway, but it would all be for nothing if the goalie kept on being as watertight as a sieve. Donnarumma would provide that watertightness. He's not perfect, no one is, but he would be such a galactic upgrade on Onana that it would be impossible for United to not at least accidentally get better just by virtue of his presence. He would be the most important signing Ruben Amorim could hope to make.